What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jerome. I'm here tonight with the review for Love and Hip Hop. This is New York. This is season number 9. This is episode number 12. Pura Vida. So, without further ado, let's get started with the video. Alright, so what I think I'm going to do with this episode is I'm going to start out with the stuff that happened in New York. So we saw Rubbing Pennies. He was, out, and he called Miracle on FaceTime. He's talking to Miracle, trying to see what's going on with Miracle. Miracle is talking about, when it comes to her case, how, she feels like she has a lot of evidence, that can prove, that she was in an abusive situation and whatnot. And, like I said, he's asking her what's going on, and she's talking about how basically what it is with the case, they have all this stuff from her husband and nothing from her. And, she feels like this could be because of her having a public defender and not an actual lawyer. Well, I'm not going to say an actual lawyer. Her having a lawyer that can just devote his or her time to her case. And then, she said, well, I did look at a lawyer, but it's going to cost me about $16,000. And Rich was like, you know what, I'll send you the other $8,000. And then he was like, so what's going on with Ashley? And she was like, the thing that's going on with Ashley right now is Ashley is feeling like, she's not going to go back to school. And, she's going to be at home and take care of her brothers and sisters. And I feel like, Miracle should be like, no, Ashley, this is my mess. This is my drama. I got myself into this. You don't need to put your life on hold just because of some stupid shit that I did. I want you to go to school. I want you to finish school, and I want you to focus on school. Like, everything is going to be fine. Technically, it's not going to be fine, but in the sense of this is your child and she's going to school to better herself, and you done got yourself in a fucked up position. You should be like telling your child, you know what, Ashley, I do not want you to put this burden on yourself. The only burden that I want you to put on yourself, and it's not even a burden, I just want you to go to school, get your education, better yourself, and don't follow in the same footsteps that I've fallen into. And when I say same footsteps, I mean the abuse situation. Don't put yourself in a situation where you are being abused by somebody. And, Rich is upset, which he had every right to be upset. Like, you don't talk to me about nothing. Like, you should be the one that's calling me and talking about, hey, you might want to, sit down and talk to your daughter. So then we see that Rich has flown Ashley out to New York. And, Rich is talking to Ashley. And Ashley's just talking about how, this whole thing has affected her, which I'm not denying that it has affected her. And, she's talking about she's failing her English class and she's not able to focus. She's not doing homework and she's not turning it in on time. And I definitely do get it. That has to be something that is hard to deal with. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, I don't get where Ashley's coming from, because I actually 100% do get where Ashley's coming from. Because when I was in college, I didn't have a similar situation, but I had a traumatic situation happen. I graduated college in 2013. So going into the last few weeks of my junior year, finals week, because I finished my junior semester in 2012 in December, the first week of December. And the week before Thanksgiving, I had an uncle unexpectedly pass away, and nobody in my family saw that coming. Like, that was a death that just threw us completely for a loop. I had two uncles that were twins. So the twin that lived here in Dallas, where I'm currently living at, he had just went to my hometown in Tyler. If anybody knows about, Dallas, Tyler, if you know about the East Texas region, probably don't. But so he came home, and I did not get to see him because I was in my business law class, and I was told, I was trying to get out of class because I knew my uncle was coming home to visit my grandmother. And I'm like, and I called my mom called me while he was at the house, and I got to talk to him. And, I was like, I'm gonna try to come over there and see you, but I'm trying to get out. I'm almost out of class. I think I'll be out, about whatever. We usually got out 15 minutes early, but this day my teacher kept us longer than what I was expecting. So I got to my grandmother's house and he was gone, and he called back, and I was like, well, I was trying to come over there to see you, And he always called me baby. He said, baby, he said, I'll be back this weekend. I'm going to go get your big mama something. We call my grandmother big mama. I'm going to go get her a turkey for Thanksgiving, so I'll come back and see y'all then. I said, cool. I'll see you when you come back. And, I think it was maybe a day or two later that I went to class. My mom called me and she said, your uncle's in the hospital. And I'm thinking it's my other uncle because at this time, his twin brother, he had cancer and the cancer had spread through his body completely. So we weren't expecting him to make it much longer. So my mom said, your uncle's in the hospital. I'm like, okay, is he, what are they saying about him? She said, not him, it's your other uncle. I'm like, what is he doing in the hospital? And she said, he just wasn't feeling good, so he went to the hospital. And he, we both talked to him on the phone. And, he told us not to worry because he'll be home in, he was like, they can let me go. I'll be home in a few days. So he was like, cool. And then come the weekend, we get a phone call that they didn't expect for him to make it. And, my uncle that had cancer, his twin brother, and another cousin, and my uncle's son, we all drove up here. By the time we got to Dallas, he had passed away. So, going into my last semester, going to that finals week, my brain was just everywhere. My brain was on my family and my uncle that, I was just like, man, if I had left class early, I could have at least saw my uncle one last time. And then going into these, my senior year of college, New Year's Day, my grandmother passed away. And I'm like, oh my God, like, how much can one person take? So, I go through, I started my senior year of college. That was the hardest thing for me because, when it came to my grandmother and my mother, they were influential in my life. Everything that I did thinking about them. And, when I went to college, I knew that when I graduated college, I wanted to be able to, give back to my mom and give back to my grandmother because they had done so much and sacrificed so much for me. Thankfully, I was able to do a little bit for my mom before she passed away, but my grandmother, I was just never able to do anything that I really wanted to do for her, and that bothered me for a long time. And then I think maybe 3 weeks after my grandmother passed away, that was my uncle that had cancer, the other twin, he passed away. And I'm just like, how am I supposed to get through this last semester when my family members just keep passing away? Like, I couldn't focus, but I had friends that supported me, and I had my college friends, in my classes. They all knew what I was going through. And when it came down to group projects, they had my back. They were like, if you don't feel like coming, that's cool. We got you. And I'm like, nope, I'm coming. I'm going to do everything that I'm supposed to do because I want to do this for myself and for my grandmother. And, the day that I went to, because in my college, we had to register for graduation. So when I went to register for graduation, it was just a bittersweet moment for me. I think I cried. I can't remember. But I know it was just emotional for me, filling out that application and knowing that, I was applying for graduation and my grandmother was not there to see me walk across the stage. But I know she was there in spirit. And a funny joke, so she was in the hospital. She had stopped eating at one point, and then this African doctor, he gave her this liquid marijuana. Why did he do that? My grandmother she told us all how she really felt at that time. She called me a career college student. I'm like, why would you call me a career college student? But I definitely understand where Ash is coming from. And Rich, he understands it as well. So he says, you know what, little girl, you can just take this semester off to regroup yourself, but your ass is going back to college. I want you to walk across that stage, and I want to be there to see you walk across the stage. All right, so next we saw Alexis Sky. So she is going to see Solo Lucci. They did a DNA test, which we all know. We saw that play out in the blogs, on the Shade Room, Baller Alert, wherever else you find your celebrity gossip. So the test results revealed that Solo Lucci was not the baby daddy, which Alexis had been saying that. And, I hope Alexis will know who her baby daddy is, but, there are certain people who don't know, but we gonna move on from there. So like I said, they meet up. Alexis is like, I need an apology from you. Solo Lucci does apologize to her, and she's like, what, I'm sorry for some stuff that I've said, and I just want to be cool with you. So they agreed to let bygones be bygones, and they're gonna be good with each other. Now, is Fetty Wap gonna take care of that baby? Is the good question. Whoo, don't know. Okay, and also I did forget to mention, wasn't really much with this scene, but we saw Remy and Pap. They're 2 weeks away from having a golden child. I think we catching up real time, because this is all just recent. All this stuff is recent. So then they get a phone call from Joe, and Joe is telling them that he is ready to propose to Sin. Pap is happy, Remy is happy, and he tells them that he wants to go and see their jeweler. So everything is planned out, and we've all saw this. We saw, when they got engaged to each other. But, Remy is wanting to be, not wedding planner, but, engagement planner. So, we'll see how this goes. All right, yeah. So now we're gonna move over to Costa Rica. So it's the next day after the whole thing with Maggie, Yandy, and Juju. So they're having breakfast, and everyone is there with the exception of Kimbella and Yandy. So Safari shows up. Safari's been extra fucking loud, and I think it was Joe that asked, "Is Safari's room anywhere near close to Juju?" She said, "No, I made sure of that." And she said that they're not friends. And Safari's like, "Should I act like I care?" And everybody was like, "Damn, Safari, that was rude as fuck," which it really was. Like, Juju feels like Safari's a jerk, and point proven. And then they asked, Mano and Maggie, Mano sleeping on the couch. He's like, "Nah, he slept in the bed, we good." And so then Mano asked the questions of Safari. Did he rat out the niggas indictment? Or he was like, "Nah, I didn't rat them out. The cops are the ones that got them." And Juju corroborates what he said. So then Juju tells them what's going on with the Daisy events, and then we see they all leave, and then Kimbella comes up. So then Kimbella and Juju start talking. So Juju is telling Kimbella how Yandy felt about Kimbella being on the trip, and then Juju was like, "But I told Yandy that I talked to you, and you said there was gonna be no issues, but I didn't really get the chance to tell Yandy that she was coming on the trip." And she also told Kimbella how Yandy feels like she was trying to talk about her kids, and Kimbella's like, "I wasn't talking about her kids. I was talking about one kid in particular." Well, I don't know why I'm using air quotes. Infinity. And she said she was just saying that how she was hoping that Yandy was not using Infinity for clout purposes, which I hope she wasn't. But well, if Yandy is using Infinity for clout purposes, that's gonna be between Yandy and whoever she answers to, whoever she prays to, whatever higher power she answers to. That's gonna be between them and Yandy. Okay, so next we see, they are all out sightseeing. So they split up into groups. So the guys have doing their thing, and the girls are doing their thing. So the girls are going shopping. You got Yandy and not Yandy, Kimbella and Sin looking at some stuff, and then you got Maggie and Juju looking at some stuff, and they're having a conversation. And this conversation is centered around Yandy, basically. So Kimbella is telling saying that some stuff got back to Yandy, that she was talking about her kids, but she says, "I wasn't really talking about her kids. I was talking about Infinity, and how I hope that Yandy was not using Infinity for for clout and whatnot." And Juju is telling Maggie that Kimbella is willing to have a conversation with Yandy, and clear the air about what was really said and what wasn't said. And yeah, that's pretty much it with that one. So then we see the guys. The guys, they are doing a surfing lesson, and they're talking to Safari about the way that he was talking to Juju, how it came off really rude. And as far as sometimes I have to think back to myself and be like, what that can be perceived as rude. Nah, nigga, that can't be perceived as rude, because it was. I mean, Yeah, it was perceived as rude, but it was really, truly rude as fuck the way you said that shit. And, Joe was like, you know what, I think you need to have a conversation with Juju. He's like, you know what, you're right. So I'm going to sit down and have a conversation with him. So then, they talking to Mano about what's going on between he and Maggie. And Mano says that, Maggie is upset because she doesn't feel like he supports her with the music. But his whole thing is he wants to see that she's, really serious about this music thing. And he just hasn't saw that. And then, he's talking about how she's not a rapper, how when he met Maggie, she was a singer and she had a lot of views on her YouTube channel. And, so Joe's like, well, Sin, I had the same thing with Sin, but I have a conversation with Sin and, Sin understands where I'm coming from. Does Maggie understand where you're coming from? He's like, no, because Maggie feels like since I'm her man and I'm in the industry, and I do music, that I should be able to just automatically help her, which, I mean, that's not necessarily wrong. I mean, you are her man and you are doing music, so why can't you help your chick? But whatever. All right, y'all, and then the last few scenes of the episode. So we see Maggie and we see Sin. They're down by the bar. They call Yandy to come down by the bar. So then we see Juju and Kimbella come down there and join them. So they having a conversation, they talking, and then Yandy comes down to join them. And when she comes down there, she sees Kimbella and she's like, I'm leaving, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, but Yandy, first of all, Kimbella didn't say nothing to you, so why are you acting like this? Like, it's not that deep. And then two, if you feel so strongly about Kimbella, why don't you sit here and have a conversation with Kimbella and be like, you know what, Kim, let me pull you to the side. Let me pull your ear off real quick. Let's chat. Let's wrap it up. Let's kick it. Let's just put it all out on the fucking table. Like, I heard that you were telling Mariah Lynn that you feel like I was using Infinity for clout purposes. Like, bitch, why you gotta mention that? And again, people who watch my video, do not get offended by me saying bitch. It's not me talking negatively about them. It's just me saying how the conversation could be geared. So don't take offense to it. But, she could just sit down and be like, yeah, if you say, I mean, I've heard that you said this to Mariah Lynn. Why would you, if you felt so strongly about that, like, why not come to me as your quote sister and be like, hey, I see you posting this little girl on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever she posting her on, because I don't follow Yandy on any social media. I actually don't follow anybody from the New York cast on social media. I follow people from Miami and Atlanta. No. No. I follow Amada on Twitter. I feel like I'm about to unfollow Milan on IG, because he's getting on my fucking nerves with this Jesse Smollett shit. Like, God, you would think that Jesse Smollett had turned, and I'm starting to think that Jesse Smollett must have turned Milan Christopher down. But we're moving on, because that's not even what we're talking about here. But yeah, you just have a conversation with Yandy, be like, are you using this little girl for clout? And she could have said no, yes, XYZ, whatever. But that's not what Yandy's trying to do. That's not Yandy's not trying to have a conversation with her. So she dips. But then Kimbella goes and sit down and have a conversation with Yandy. And I'm like, this conversation is not going to go well whatsoever. And I was correct. It didn't go well. So, Yandy does bring up the fact that, she felt like she brought up what I just said. The whole Infinity situation. And Kimbella said, I was saying that I hope that was not the case. So then she was like, but we didn't even address the real elephant in the room. And Yandy was like, well, what is that? And then we go back to the baby mama stuff. I'm like, oh my God, like, how many seasons ago was this stuff? Like, can we let this go with Kim, Judy, Samantha, Erica? Like, can we let this shit go? Because that season got on my nerves with the baby mamas and Yandy and Kimbella. So, Yandy is like, yeah, we came up with a plan for you to get a check. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I actually do believe Yandy as opposed to Kimbella, because I think they both will do anything for a check. Like, I just believe that. But Kimbella want to say, nah, that ain't what it is. And then they start getting into it with one another. And Kimbella called her a bitch. And, Yandy was like, don't do that. I'm like, Yandy, why are you trying to buck up? Like, you going to do something to Kimbella? You ain't going to do shit. Just sit your ass down, please. Please do us that favor and sit the fuck down. But that was Love and Hip Hop New York. I think we have 2 more episodes left before the reunion, which they actually just filmed the reunion last week. And I don't know why they filmed the reunion. They actually had a reunion set. They could have did what they did with Love and Hip Hop Atlanta season 5 and season 2 of New York, because there really wasn't much that happened this season whatsoever. But like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in just a few minutes for Love and Hip Hop Miami.